Welcome to the Predictive Playbook for March the 4th, 2021. Please stay and watch. I'm by myself today. That's no big deal. I will have Kiev O'Neill on tomorrow as a special guest. And I can't wait for that because that's going to be a lot of fun. And you can bet that we're going to be talking about the Big Ten and all kinds of stuff. Very, very intelligent, informative, pro, better, and sharp. He's one of the best sharps I know out there. And I hope you tune in tomorrow to get some winning information that you can apply on Friday and Saturday and Sunday and the tournaments and everything else. Before we get started, I want to give a big shout out to a good friend of mine over at ATS.io. And most of the guys that appear on my show and that I appear on other shows and their shows know this guy and know him pretty well. And it's Adam Burke of ATS.io. And I'm going to share my screen with you here, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So here is the resource that I highly recommend. It's the Major League Baseball Guide for 2021. First of all, it's free. Second of all, it's 124,000 words, I think, which comes out to about 3,700 words per team. And I think War and Peace was like 587,000 words. So over the many years that he's been doing this, he's probably written about 7 War and Pieces, all for free. And this is one of the best Major League Baseball resources on the planet. So make sure you get over to ATS.io, go into the Major League Baseball navigation, and I'm sure you will see it. And enjoy it very much. So big shout out to Adam Burke. Next on tap here. I want to go over a couple games, and you just have to bear with me while I switch pages here. Sometimes it's a little bit easier than other days. But I'm looking at the Illinois versus Ohio State game on Saturday. This is the end of the regular season for the Big Ten, which I don't know if I said it. Did I tell you that they're the best conference in the nation by leaps and bounds? There's really no comparison, even though the Big 12 has more teams ranked in the top 25. Just look at the top 10 and end of story on that one. So this is a pretty good matchup, but right now on my personal power ratings, which do pretty well with the futures, with the tournament coming up, it's telling me right now, and this is combined with the machine learning applications I use, Illinois is storming into this tournament, and I think they're not only going to win this game easily, I think they could win the Big Ten. They're currently lined at plus 350 over at MGM. I'm sure any other book is going to see similar lines, so give that a lot of thought. I do think that I would avoid Michigan. It's just at plus 150, you're really not getting anything, and you're assuming all the risk. And a second thing I want to go over is something that all the guys I just mentioned love to do, and I love to do it myself. Instead of taking a dog like a Purdue, everybody likes Purdue right now, and instead of taking them on the futures line, bet them on each game, especially in the games that they're going to be underdogs. So Purdue probably isn't going to be potentially an underdog in their first game, but then thereafter, depending on who they face, with those teams of Michigan, Illinois, Iowa ahead of them, it is likely that they will be underdogs. And at that point, this is where the strategy really works well. You take the money line because you think they're going to win the tournament. You bet that. You bet it smaller, obviously, than you would a regular 4% bet, for example. But you take about 25% of that and you play the money line. Should they win, they move on to the next round, obviously, and your futures bet would be still alive. But now if they win 2 in a row as dogs, now is where you start getting the cheesecake. If they win 3 in a row, then it overwhelms anything you could possibly make off of a futures bet. A futures bet is one and done. You bet it, you sit back, the money sits there, you either win or lose. And most of the time, futures bets, we lose. And it's gaining that value. And I think in the case of a Purdue, if you like them, just as an example, I would take 50% of what you have allocated for the tournament and put it on the futures line, but then take that other 50 and apply it to their money line games. And when they advance, even as a favorite, you're still going to get some kind of reward for that. And as they keep going, sooner or later in the semifinal and the final, if they get that far, they're going to be underdogs. And that's really where you can make a real good, nice, tidy profit. In my case, I think Illinois is going to win it. So they're probably not going to be a dog until the semifinal, or maybe not even till the final. But they come into this, from my metrics and my advanced analytics, with tremendous momentum. And I think you'll see it on Saturday against Ohio State. They are 58th with a 1.204 assist-to-turnover ratio, but that ratio has been getting better over the last several weeks. They rank 18th, averaging 16.3 assists per game. They rank 78th, 0.558 assists per field goal made. And keep in mind, 78th, these are numbers nationally, but we're talking about the best conference in the nation, bar none. So that 78th is probably more like 18th. And it probably would be better if I would have chosen to just do the Big Ten metrics. But you get the point. Against Ohio State, their rebounding has been regressing of late, and that's a concern. You cannot give a team like Illinois second chance scoring opportunities. You have to defend your glass, and that's where Ohio State has shown some inefficiencies and a little bit of regression there. So, all that said, I look at average scoring differential, a very simple term here. Illinois ranks 11th nationally. Again, this is competition in the Big Ten. They're outscoring the competition in the Big Ten by 12.5 points per game. Ohio State's doing well too, but it's only 7.4. So in this particular game, I definitely see Illinois possibly winning it by double digits. They're fifth in the nation, shooting 50% from the field. Ohio State is 46.3% in pure shooting. In terms of shooting efficiency, they're both pretty good. Ohio State plays at a slower pace than Illinois. But Illinois is number 2 in the Big Ten in pace. Number 3 is Iowa. But Iowa, I will tell you, remains the most efficient offensive team in the Big Ten and in the nation, and largely because of Luka Garza, who's just dominating every single team he plays. Lastly, in the turnovers is always key in these big time games. So turnover per game, Illinois averages 13.6 turnovers per game. But if you adjust it for the pace, it is much, much better. It's not as good as Ohio State, but again, they play at a much slower pace. And when adjusted for that pace, making it, let's say, equivalent to the Illinois pace, they're about even on a per-game basis. Point being that Illinois is taking care of the ball better over the last several weeks. So I won't beat the dead horse here too badly, but Illinois will definitely be a play on Saturday. And then moving over to Oklahoma State Baylor, which is a game that is going tonight. I see a lot of cracks in the armor now with Baylor. I watched the game with West Virginia, and I was on West Virginia. It was plus 4.5, just like everybody else. You can easily say they should have won. They should have done this. They should have done this, but they didn't. They lost by the hook. And as I like to say, some days you're the dog, some days you're the fire hydrant. You move on from it, and you try to win the next day. But in that game, Baylor was lucky to win, and that's not because of the bet being made. They were purely lucky to win. If it wasn't for a few questionable plays that were drawn up in timeouts by West Virginia, I think it would have ended in regulation. But that's all speculation. The point is that Baylor had to fight their rear ends off to beat West Virginia. And West Virginia is very good. But, now Oklahoma State is going to be gunning for them. And I don't care they're double-digit dogs. I had St. Joe's 2 games ago, 14.5-point dog, came up with my machine learning models, and lo and behold, they beat Richmond outright. You don't know when these situations are going to happen. No one can predict when it's going to happen. I can't predict when Oklahoma State or anybody is going to beat Baylor. And of course, my best one that was on a live show was LSU plus 27.5, and I got 900 on the money line, and lo and behold, it won. But if you do it over time on these dogs, it's going to pay off in the bottom line. You may win 35% of them, but is all you have to do to generate a lot more profits to your bottom line. So I encourage you to consider doing that. In this game, this is I think a confidence game for Baylor. And if I'm dead wrong on this game and then Baylor blows them out, then so be it. I'm wrong. But I have to admit, I put myself in their shoes. They get whooped pretty bad 2 games ago. They eke out a fortunate overtime victory in Morgantown. And now they play again, hosting a team that not too long ago was ranked and was considered one of the top 10 teams in the nation. So we have a team here, I think, that is regressing in Baylor. And Oklahoma State here, I think, has bottomed out. And this, if there was ever a game that they could make a statement type of game, this would be it. So I do like Oklahoma State quite a bit tonight. They're supported by some other analytics, if I can bring those up real quick here. It's hard to be the host and the guest and the moderator and everything else, but it's kind of fun. So let's see here. What do I have here? Oh, the one other point I wanted to make too is like that loss the other night. People, I've seen it all the time for 26 years now. They have West Virginia. West Virginia is got an 8-point lead at one point with less than 10 minutes to go, and it's basketball. And all of a sudden it gets close. All of a sudden everybody tightens up, and they're kids, and that you have to realize that they're doing the best they can. But what happens is that a loss like that, you lose by the hook, and you feel like, I should have won that one. So then you say, I'm never going to bet on West Virginia ever again. That's the wrong thing to do. You got to block it out of your head. It's like a strikeout in baseball. You go back to the dugout, and maybe you throw your bat or something, and you calm down, and then you focus on the next bat, the next at bat, the next game, the next bet. And it's the same process. It truly is. So in this case, a lot of bettors are going to I'm not betting against Baylor ever again. That was dumb. And there are cases where it is dumb to do, because we know about the Utah Jazz and the run that they had. There was the 2001 Oakland A's who won 20 games in a row. You don't try to fade a team like that. You got to wait until either the regression happens or the streak ends or there's some kind of definitive event or statistic or performance that you can say, you know what, now they're going to go the other way. And I think that this is this game. So betting on a road team that has beaten the spread by 6 or more points per game in each of the last 3, and facing an opponent that has gone over the total by 24 or more points in their previous game has earned the bettor doing this a 39, 12, and 2 ATS record for 76% winning bets over the last 15 seasons. So, that really speaks volumes to this game and taking Oklahoma State. What I recommended on sportsmemo.com was a 3% amount on Oklahoma State and sprinkle just a little bit more on the money line. So when I say sprinkle, it's not like making another bet, obviously. A sprinkle is just, a little bit, like you're sprinkling on spices on your steak or chicken or something. It's something small, almost invisible. So a lot of times with these plays, depending on 3 or 4%, it'll be, 85% using the spread and 15% on the money line. In this case, the money line is going to be probably in the neighborhood of plus 700. And I'm just guessing at that right now because I don't have it live in front of me. But whatever it is, there's no need to bet 15% when the money line is plus 700. So you could do maybe 88% on the spread, 12% on the money line. So do what you think is right, but never exceed more than 15% on the money line for these types of dogs. And I'm pretty confident you'll see some positive results over the course of a season. Maybe not in 1 week, even a month, but over the course of the season, it's worked for me, and I think it'll work for you. So, like I said, that'll be it for today. Tomorrow I'm going to have Kiev O'Neill on from Odds Breakers. I am very excited about that opportunity. And second show of the day. We're going to do 2 of them tomorrow if it works out with scheduling and technology and everything else that we have to do to make these things work. Albert from Analytics Capper will be joining me, and really that's about it. So ever have any questions, just send me a direct message on Twitter. I try to get back to everybody as soon as I can. It does get pretty voluminous, but I do the best I can. And please be patient with that. But I really appreciate you following me. I appreciate you watching this show. And for the Predictive Playbook, I am John Ryan. And may all the wins be yours.